I don't do other people's biographies, and I don't summarize other people's books. How painful for you to listen to me do that. If you would, please give a esteemed audience just kind of an overview about what Crave is about, what they can look forward to.
Oh, absolutely. Crave is, if you look at the cover, it is kind of an homage to Twilight. It was kind of, vampire books were huge 10 years ago. And my editor really wanted to bring vampires back. And I'm a huge vampire book fan. I'm from a young age. I've loved vampires. I think the Lost Boys got me when I was really young, And so anyway, I've always wanted to do a vampire series. I always said I wasn't going to do it unless I came up with an idea that I thought was a little different, because there's been so many great ones done. You're walking in and I'm a romance novelist as well as a YA novelist, and I think like Christine Feehan does a really wonderful vampire story. Sherilyn Kenyon, of course, J.R. Ward. And then, of course, there's all the amazing YA writers and all the amazing horror writers. And I thought I wasn't going to jump into that unless I thought I could do it justice, And so it was kind of this perfect storm where Liz really, that's my editor, really wanted to do a vampire series. And I was like, well, I have this idea. And I really wanted to do a boarding school book. I actually have 3 other boarding school books started on my laptop right now.
Completely unrelated series.
Yeah, completely unrelated to Crave, and none of them, I couldn't quite get them the way I wanted them to go. Like, one's actually a disaster story about a giant earthquake in California, which is where I was raised, and kids stuck at a boarding school, and like the only 6 survivors of like the big one, right? And so I have other ones, and I just thought, well, no, I think this might be the story to do this boarding school at. And so the story is about a young girl named Grace. She's 17 years old. She's a senior in high school. Her parents have died in a terrible car accident. And she ends up having to go live with her only other living relatives, who she does know, but it's been a few years since she's seen them, her uncle and her cousin Macy. And they happen to live in Alaska, which I love fish out of water stories. I love I grew up in San Diego, which is where Grace is from. And I could just imagine, I can imagine now, because now I'm living in Austin, supplanting to Alaska, I'd probably have a stroke, right? I just know it. 17 years of age, I'd be like, but I can't wear my tank tops. What do you mean there's boots, not flip-flops? Where's the beach? And I mean, not that bratty, but, I really thought, what would it be like for this girl to have lost everything already and then have to, go to this really alien environment and start over. And then to find out that this alien environment is actually way stranger and way more different than she ever imagined. And so, of course, Grace gets to Alaska and starts going to school at this boarding school. And it doesn't take her very long, because the whole book actually takes place in 8 days. So it doesn't take her very long to figure out that something's wrong. But it takes her a couple days, right? Because, she's kind of numb and in a fog anyway, because her parents have died. And she's there and she's like, something's not right, but her brain doesn't immediately go to vampires, right? Her brain goes to aliens. Are you an alien? What is going on here? I know something's wrong, but I don't know what it is. Somebody just figure, and then of course she finds out that the guy that she really likes is a vampire and her cousin is a witch, and the guy that she's becoming really good friends with is actually a dragon, and there's also the werewolves, and they're not very nice, or so she has found in her experience at Katmere. And it is a romance, a YA romance between Jackson and Grace, but it's also the trilogy itself is I think a very feminist story about this girl and actually 2 other generations of women that come in more in books 2 and 3, and how they fit into this world and how they learn to command their own power and take it in a world where it's kind of been denied to them too. So it's a little bit of everything.
So who's the ideal reader for Crave?
The ideal reader for Crave, it's a young adult, so they say girls 14 to 18, and I get letters from them every day, but I get letters from adult women as well. My romance readers have really embraced it as well, and so and I've gotten letters from several young men actually as well who really, really enjoyed it. So I say people who like vampires. And people who like I said, I mean, I know Alaska's not urban. It's about the opposite of urban, but fantasy set in a modern world, right? More paranormal, but with definite fantasy elements. Like they live in a really cool castle that I love very much. Like I was like, okay, if I'm going to do a boarding school in Alaska, it's going to be a castle. I know that's not likely, but it's magic, so it can happen. So it's a big Gothic castle in Alaska.
Yeah, why not? Who's going to be like, oh, there's vampires, there's dragons, there's witches. We draw the line at castle. That's not believable.
Right? Exactly. That's what I said. Although one of the jokes my editor always says, she told me the other day again. She's like, I don't understand like why it had to look like a brothel on the inside. I was like, have you met me? I was like, I mean, one, I love Gothic, right? And then I'm like, okay, I went like full on Gothic with the black and the purple and like red velvet chairs and black glass chandeliers. And I'm like, yeah, that's my vibe. So it looks like, everything that I love, and a spooky, scary set of tunnels underneath that I had so much fun creating, actually.